Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mimosa Fridays podcast, a show where we share powerful life lessons and a few laughs as Gail empowers others as she sits at the intersection of people, purpose, and politics while sipping on mimosas. Holidays are upon us, shipping containers have stalled, store shelves are limited. What will be under the Christmas tree? Unwrap your business products and services on News in Motion broadcast and Mimosa Fridays podcast with Gail, available to support your success as prime real estate in a committed audience. Contact News in Motion with Gail at gmail.com to reserve your live 3-minute spot. Don't delay. Only 24 spots are available for $297 each. Contact today. Now grab some orange juice and champagne and welcome your host, Gail Dudley.
We want to hear from someone who's going to talk about emotional wellness coaching and the Black Girl's Guide to Emotional Healing Wounds. Men, don't tune off because you need to hear this as well. Her name is Najma Smalls. She's an author, writer, emotional wellness coach, and the CEO of the Emotional Wellness Hub, Najma Smalls supports the healing of women of color through all life stages. Her first series, The Black Girl's Guide to Healing Emotional Wounds, has sold over 20,000 copies within its first 6 months release. Readers in the US, Canada, and UK have praised the series for its relatable and relevant approach. Y'all gonna hear about this, so hold on. Additionally, Najma Smalls is the wife of Pastor Smalls and a mother of 2. So of course we hit it off because I'm a pastor's wife too, right? A current resident of Northern Virginia, she has spent many years working in various leadership roles in corporate America, as well as career counseling for Washington, D.C. residents. In addition, she has served as an adjunct faculty member at 2 local post-secondary educational institutions where she taught professional development and business-related courses. Najma has earned a bachelor's in political science and MS from Winthrop University. She holds a certification of cognitive behavioral therapy, trauma-informed care, and she is a certified life coach. Serving the community, she is also an important factor, and she has taken great pride in being part of several local initiatives. Najma is the president and founder of the Prince County chapter of Mocha Moms Incorporated. There, she is able to empower women of color to be the best moms they can be while encouraging them to maintain a balance within their lives. She also serves as the leader of Family Life Ministry at Zion Church Woodridge, where she counsels family in crisis. Listen, if you know anybody who's a mom, anybody who's going through trauma, male or female, you want to share this link and tell them to tune in right now. And I am so excited to welcome her to the live stream. Good morning.
Good morning, Gail. I'm so excited to be here. Good morning, audience. I'm so excited to chat with you all today. Happy Monday.
I'm just so excited you're here. Like, we pulled this together, what, in an hour? Bam.
Yep. And here we are.
Women in power.
Women in power.
So good morning to you. I'm so happy you're here. Your book, let's start with that. We do a segment starting last Monday called Unwrap This. And that segment has a lot to do with unwrapping gifts that we can give this Christmas, especially with all the containers stuck and people going crazy. We want people to know of new products and new people that are coming forward. So please jump right in here and tell us about the book and tell us how we can get it.
Yes, the book, The Black Girl's Guide to Healing Emotional Wounds. There are 3 parts to it. There's the book, there's the daily devotional, which is the second book, and then there is the journal. And it's me just sharing my journey to healing emotional wounds. And I give you guys a soul cleanse of how you can cleanse yourself and heal yourself of some of the hurts that have happened in your life. People have praised it. Check out the reviews, honestly. On Amazon.com, people have said it's very relatable. I share a lot from my dating experience, dating experiences before I was married, and how those wounds showed up. I talk about how those wounds showed up in my marriage and how they impacted my marriage, and how they impacted me professionally and with my relationships with other women. So, in terms of girlfriends and so forth. So, please check out the book. This is a great gift to give to your girlfriends. Y'all can sit and chit chat and discuss it. And as we, in a few months, I can't believe I'm saying this, we'll be approaching another new year. And if you want to start the new year off with cleansing the soul, right? Because we want to start from the inside and then work our way outside. This is a great tool to start the new year off with.
I concur. I was on Amazon going through the reviews and reading the synopsis of the book, and I was like, wow, everyone needs their hands on this, men and women. And I kept thinking of high school girls. I was like, high school girls, colleges. So y'all, you know, if you're like me, I go out and I buy books and I pass them out. I just make it a thing. It's something I'm drawn to. I pass it out. So do you have, they can find it on Amazon?
Yep, Amazon.com, The Black Girl's Guide to Healing Emotional Wounds. You can also find it at Barnes & Noble. You can also find it at Target, Walmart, Books A Million, Apple product, Apple, you can find it as well, and Google Play.
So it's everywhere, y'all. It's everywhere. So make sure you get not just one copy for yourself, but get several copies to give to other people. So with that said, y'all, if you, as you have questions as we're going through this interview, please do what you do, post them and we'll pull them up. I will also be posting her information as we go along. So we have about 6-7 questions that we're going to get started with, and we'll see how far we can go. But again, y'all, share this video. I think people will really benefit from this. And those of you who are listening by audio, be sure to check out the YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook so that you can see all the comments. So here's my first question, if we can get started. Can you please provide examples of emotional wounds and how they impact our lives?
Sure, absolutely. So emotional wounds are basically just those wounds that are inside of us, right? We often hear people talk about the inner child. Sometimes our inner child gets wounded early on. So those wounds can be abandonment, they can be rejection, they can be your self-esteem, and all of those things that impact how you view yourself and how you show up in the world. And think of it as when you hurt yourself, right? When you get a scat, when you if you accidentally cut yourself or if you burn yourself, right? If you don't do something to take care of that wound, when someone or when you touch or poke that wound, when it's triggered, right? You get a reaction. And so it is with our emotional wounds. When someone touches that wound of rejection, or someone pokes or pod that wound of abandonment, of doubt, or emotional abuse that maybe you suffered when you were a child, you react. You are triggered and you react. And sometimes we don't react in the most positive way. And so we really have to do the hard work to address that wound. And for a more detailed example, I grew up, I was raised by my mom, and my mom, there were many instances where she was a single mom, right? And my mom, she's a Southern woman. God bless her. She's a tough woman. She doesn't take no for an answer. And for me, that was a lot for me as a child. You know, I grew up in that area where you couldn't be seen. You had to be seen as a child and not heard, right? And so when I became an adult and I went out into the professional world, I remember I could not, very early on, I could not take working for a woman, specifically a Black woman. Every single time there were a lot of resentment that would build up, and we would start having conflicts and so on. And I remember thinking, because God has a sense of humor. I remember thinking, why am I always working for a crazy Black woman? And even when I remember I had a job and I accepted an offer and it was working for a white male. And I thought, whew, I don't have to work for a woman, right? And then within months, that white male resigned. And guess what I had to work for? A Black woman. But here's the thing that I had to realize: in all of those situations, I was the common denominator. All of these women couldn't be wrong. It was me. So I had to do the hard work and look at me. And when I started doing that work and I started peeling back those layers, I realized that I had mommy wounds. I had mommy issues. I had a lot of resentment built up from the way that my mom was raising me, that my mom had raised me, that I hadn't reconciled with. And so that was showing up in the way I was responding to these women in the workforce. And so I had to really work to reconcile my issues with my mom so that I can have better relationships with other women.
Wow, that's a lot you said right there. And people, if you have questions, please post them in here. Notice she talked about emotional abuse. We've been talking about domestic violence, domestic abuse, and we heard from all of our guests up to this point that there's that element of emotional abuse as well. So, so many of us have wounds. Let's all be honest. I believe all of us have some type of wound. I have wounds too. Why does it take us so long to get in that position to have those wounds healed? Are we masking them? Are we hiding them? Are we pretending that they don't apply to me, or we don't want anybody to know about it? Can you speak to that for us, please?
Sure. I think it's all of the above. Every answer you said is correct. I think we haven't built up our self-awareness. I think we often use blame. Blame is a tool that we use, especially when we're angry. We go to blame, and that's one way that we mask the wounds. We say it's you, like what I was doing in the scenario that I mentioned earlier. It was all of them and never me. And it takes a lot to look at yourself. Honestly, it really takes a lot to step back out of the situation and say, you know what? Here's the part that I played, right? Because we can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. And often we do mask the wounds with different things. I think over time, we develop very negative coping skills to deal with our hurts, whether that's people pleasing, whether it's food, again, going back to blame and so forth, whether it's addiction, sex addictions, all of those things mask our hurts. Gossip, and we project our hurts onto other people instead of dealing with ourselves. So we really have to build up our self-awareness. And this is where having good girlfriends and good partners in life comes into play, because I know I have a great girlfriend, and she's sweet as can be, but she's honest with me. And if I call her with the situation, she will say, now, Najma, let's look at it from a different angle. And it really gets me to look at the part that I played and own. And she's very big about me owning my part. And that's when you start to see those patterns, you start to say, okay, there's an issue here. Here's a wound that I haven't addressed here. I'm dealing with daddy issues. I'm dealing with rejection. I need to get to the root of it. Because ladies, it's not always the boyfriends. Sometimes it's us.
I hear you. You speaking up in here. We have a question from Katrina. She says, how do we get our children to talk about things so that they don't take things to adulthood? That's a great question, Katrina.
Yes, Katrina. That's a great question. And I'm working on this, especially with my daughter. And it's good to ask them questions, make them feel safe. Make sure they have a safe space, and they have a safe space in you. I would tell you, Katrina, my family, they would overreact. When I would tell them, when I had a question, I can remember in the third grade, I asked my mother what the P word was. Y'all know what the P word is, right, ladies? And she was like, oh my God, where did you get that from? So fourth grade, my daughter asked me the same question. And I remember I said to myself in my head, do not overreact. Because of course, moms, when we hear that, we want to, I said, I'm not going to react. And I said, you know what, honey? I'm glad you came to me to ask me that. And we sat down and we talked about it. And I gave her the honest truth. I allowed her to feel comfortable with asking the questions. And there was nothing, I never ridiculed her. You don't need to know that. You don't need to be talking about that. And you know how we always, how Black mothers will say, worry about those books. Don't worry about those. I didn't approach it from that angle. I gave her the space to ask me the questions that she needed so that I could give her the answer. Because if we don't give them the answers, guess where our children go? To their friends. And I would tell you, we don't want them to go there because they're not always going to get the information that they need. So make them feel comfortable. Make sure that it's a safe space. I've started taking my daughter on walks, just she and I, so that we can talk, we can get away from the house. She doesn't have to worry about daddy and her brother walking in, just so that we can go on walks and just us, just chit chat, whatever she wants to talk about. She wants to talk about the sky is blue, we talk about the sky is blue, but I want her to always know that this is her safe space.
That's good. That's good. So, time always is flying when we're doing this, but I do have a couple other questions. What are some positive ways to bring healing to our wounds?
Therapy. Listen, y'all, I believe in therapy. I know in our community, there was a stigma attached to therapy at one time. I believe in therapy. I'm the first one I'm here to tell you. I go to a therapist. I'm always on somebody's couch. Therapy is definitely a great way. Journaling is awesome because it helps you get it out. You can feel free to journal whatever you want to say. If you want to say, I hate so and so, get it out instead of keeping it bottled up. Find community, find groups. At our church, we have what's called small groups. If you have a church, find a small group. There may be small groups just in your community. I saw someone in the chat shout out Mocha Moms. Let me tell y'all, Mocha Moms, I remember it was the year before I wrote my book. And I had we had a New Year's vision board party. And we started at 3 p.m. We didn't end until after midnight. But I remember it was in my family room with the Mocha Moms. I shared something, and I talk about it in the book. It was a family secret that haunted my family. I wasn't able to talk about it until that night, y'all. And I talked about it in the safety of girlfriends, right? They loved on me. They hugged me. They supported me. They said, I was an adult with children, and I had not been able to talk about something that happened that really changed my family. It hurt my mom. It hurt me, of course. So anyway, my whole point is get into community, find safety, find good girlfriends, men, find good guy friends. Yes, y'all can talk. I always say my husband has 5 best friends. They were friends before he and I even met. And that's his community. They go out to dinner, they'll watch the game together and they'll share something or whatever. It's not the same level of sharing that we have, ladies, but it's their version of sharing. But get it out in safety. And those are some of the tips that we can use. Also, reading self-help books helps us because it challenges us, right? It helps us to think about, and it brings us the awareness we need to address those wounds.
Cool. We have Marion. I have it up here on the screen. I don't know if you see it. It says, I don't have daughters, but I do have sons that may be dealing with emotional hurts. Can you recommend books to help males or write one? Hello.
Marion, so I'm going to say 2 things to that. The Black Girls Guide, I would tell you there have been men that have read it. I don't know how they got a hold to it, but they read it. And there is a Dear Sweet review on Goodreads by a man named Kevin. And he suggested that all men that have a woman in their life, whether it's your mom, whether it's your girlfriend, whether it's your sister, read that book so that you'll know how not to create emotional wounds, and it helps you to understand women. Also, stay tuned, Marion. My husband and I are writing a book together because here's the thing. He and I both brought emotional wounds to the marriage. I want to tell y'all the first 2 years of our marriage was a disaster. And y'all, we have been married 15 years. The first two, I would love to be able to tell you they were champagne and strawberries and beautiful trips, but they weren't. They were late night arguments. We didn't know if we were going to make it. And we had premarital counseling. But here's the thing. We had trauma. We had emotional trauma that we both brought to our marriage. And we had to address those. So part of our marriage was a journey to addressing those. Today we are stronger than ever. He is my love, he's my support, and so we are going to write a book together. We are working on it as we speak, so stay tuned. Someone mentioned Hill Harper. Yes. Hill Harper has written an excellent book. I wish I could think of the name of it, but yes, he has written an excellent book for men. If someone has the name of that book, please drop it in the chat, but it is an excellent read.
Great, thank you. Wow, y'all. I hate. I'm looking at the time like I'm mad, but I do have a couple more questions. I'm gonna ask them. If you have to go, if people have to go, you have to go. But just come back and check it out. And of course, Mike is letting Mike's an alpha. He's saying, yeah, that's his frat brother.
Alpha man.
So I do have another question. Now, again, y'all, she is tuning in from Northern Virginia. And just if you just go check her out, just like she said, go to her Goodreads page, go to the Amazon page, go to the website, which I keep putting up here. I'll put it up again. Check that out. So here's my next question. Where do I want to go? What are some negative ways that people treat emotional wounds? What are some negative ways that you're finding when you're in your one-on-one coaching sessions in the, what's it called, in your emotional wellness coaching?
I noticed that some negative ways that we handle people that handle our emotional wounds is by lashing out. That is one real way that you can tell someone is suffering from emotional wounds is when you see that someone lashes out. For me, I used to be the type of person, y'all, I would curse you out in a minute. You did something to harm me, I was ready. And, I always say, it's the way you handle your offenses that tells us who you really are, right? And so I was that girl. I was at Lowe's ready to fight somebody, all of that kind of, I was the one that would act the fool, y'all. I would act the fool. And that's one of the ways, because sometimes we're projecting, we have those hurts in there, and all it takes is the girl to mess up our order, bless her heart. And then we're ready to act out, right? We're ready to show up. We're ready to act out on that. And then another way is through sex, right? We handle our emotional wounds by sex, especially for those of us who deal with daddy issues, dealing with rejection and so forth, because there is a chemical in sex, right? There is a chemical that our body releases when we're having sex. And, there are different chemicals for men and women, right? And so especially when we talk about our men, right? That's why, honestly, ladies, we have a lot of men in our community that are addicted to sex, because it's that same chemical that is released. It's that happy chemical. And that when you are eating food, when you are taking drugs, that same chemical is being released when you are having sex. So instead of dealing with the issues that we have, many of our men turn to sex, and our women do so as well. But see, here's the thing about it with women, y'all. There's a different chemical that is released when we have sex as well. And that chemical says, oh, I'm in love with this person. This is connection. That is the connection chemical is released. But the men don't do the connection chemical. Their body doesn't release that. So that's why sometimes we're in trouble. So sex is a vice that we turn to when we are dealing with emotional wounds as well. Eating, we emotionally eat. And, some people think I don't have an issue with food if I'm eating because I don't eat when I get depressed or sad. And that's me. I lose my appetite when I'm sad. But you know what I realize? Food is happy. Food makes me happy. And so anytime I'm happy, I'm ready to eat. And so there is an emotional so you've got to find what your emotional connection is. And I'll tell you one other thing. I had a job in terms of food. I had a job and I hated it. Probably worked for another Black woman, and I had my wounds were showing up in that job. And I remember every morning I would go to Starbucks and I would get the same thing. I would get a drink and a dessert every single morning. You know how Starbucks starts to add up. And I had to realize that I was medicating myself with that food, because I would sit there and I would like, okay, let me pump myself up. And that's emotional eating as well. So you really have to dig deep and do the hard work to see how you are medicating or self-medicating your emotional wounds.
Wow, that's a whole lot to take in. Davia is here, and I would love for the two of you to connect. She has a fabulous podcast that she's doing as well. But she put up the book is called "Letters to My Young Brother," by Hill Harper.
That's it.
So I think the two of you listen, and this is a side conversation. I know I can call Davia on the phone, but I'm gonna say this on live air. Davia, she's the bomb.com. We put this together last night within an hour because the person I had canceled because of an illness. But anyway, all of your information is amazing. We could go on and on and on and on and on. So let us know. Again, y'all know how I am. This is my call to action today. Her first series, which we had up here, The Black Girl's Guide to Emotional Healing and Wounds. And I'll try to put this back up here again. Hopefully it'll come up. Nope, that's her email. Y'all, I told y'all the team, it was Howard's 5-year, it was a homecoming and the 5-year anniversary of the Howard graduate. So they ain't here with me today. They like, we sleeping in. But anyway, so I'm doing this all by myself. So The Black Girl's Guide to Healing Emotional Wounds, that's the book, y'all. Now here's the call to action. It sold over 20,000 copies within the first 6 months of release. This is what I want us to do. I want us to help her get to another 20,000 by Christmas. Let's do that. Yeah, we know enough people. We have enough connections. Just grab the image or she'll give me the image and I'll get it to all of you. Grab the image. We'll post it everywhere. And we encourage people to buy it. That's what we do here in News and Motion. So let's help do this. You heard her for yourself. Just this brief time, she knows what she's talking about. So make sure you check that out. So how can people get more information about you and purchase your book?
Follow me on the website, y'all. Make sure when you go on the website, it'll ask you to sign up. And you can sign up for the newsletter. And for the newsletter, y'all, for up until the holidays, I'm going to be talking about inner wounds, healing our inner child. Because as the holidays approaching, we're going to be around family members. There may be memories, there may be family members that cause us to be triggered, and they may touch that wounded inner child inside of all of us that we have not dealt with. So make sure you get that, because the first newsletter on dealing with our inner child wounds will be dropping tomorrow. So make sure you go on that website and sign up. As soon as you get on there, it'll ask you, do you want to sign up for the newsletter? Then you can find
let me cut in right there real quick. For those of you who are listening by audio, if you're driving, don't do this, but it's NIJIAMASMALLS.com. Again, that's NIJIAMASMALLS.com. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I know there's people listening by audio.
No, that's okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you for remembering our folks that are listeners by audio. Then you can also, as I said, go to Amazon.com. Just type in The Black Girl's Guide to Healing Emotional Wounds. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Target, Walmart. That's where you can find the book. Thank you all. I'm so appreciative to you all. I am just grateful, y'all, because it is not me who wrote the book. I must give honor to God. He gave me the inspiration, and it was beautiful, y'all, because I was able to turn a lot of pain that I had from my past into purpose, and that is God.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The moment we connected, the moment Cynthia said, I got the person for you to help fill in, the moment I got the email and we made that initial connection, I knew this was perfect timing. So thank you. And we will be in touch with you. We'll have to get you back.
Yes, absolutely. This has been fun, Gail.
Be blessed. Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Are you ready to raise awareness of your brand, product, or service? Gail, the host of News in Motion and Mimosa Friday podcast, is an influencer who brings attention to every product she mentions. She started out with a few followers and is growing her base daily. Listeners, tune in Monday through Friday from around the U.S. and beyond. Let Gail help you expand and connect with new customers from all around. To get your brand, product, or services mentioned on her shows, just contact info.gaildudley@gmail.com to request her media deck. Catch Gail each weekday on News in Motion on Facebook Live at facebook.com/newsinmotion or her YouTube at youtube.com/GailDudley. You can also follow Gail on Instagram and Twitter at Gail Dudley and visit her website, www.gaildudley.com. Until next week, as Gail always signs off, stay well and remember to make some moves.